All right, good morning, everybody. I'd like to call the Public Works Committee meeting to order for this Tuesday, July 2nd. We have a full committee. Thank you all for that. And we got a fairly succinct agenda, so we'll lead off with the sewer district.
Sure, yep, just me
Oh,
today.
my
Move to
apologies.
accept minutes.
Okay.
Motion to, thank you, second by Mr. Wayne. Got that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Floor is yours now, sir.
All right, so just two items for you today. They're both action items. The first one is the septic receiving and sludge dryer seeker lead agency establishment. What this is this is related to the septic receiving and sludge dryer project that has been moving along. We applied for funding. What we want to do is have the county seek lead agency for the state environmental quality review stuff. So that needs to go through full resolution, and we'll conduct a coordinated review after, which will have the environmental assessment forms you have in your packet sent along with it. And all the corresponding agencies can give us their input towards the project and us seeking the agency.
Move it.
Moved.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Fisher. Thank you. That resolution is just for everybody is on the second page. And then a full copy of the seeker for the committee is in the packet. And sir,
Who is lead agency, the sewer district or the county?
County.
And the advice from our attorney is to go ahead with this?
Yes, we initially passed a resolution in May, and that satisfied the seeker portion. But it doesn't, the way the environmental, ECF, I never get the EFCAC, Environmental Facilities Corporation, views it a little differently. They see it as a type 1 action. So we've taken care of the formal seeker stuff, but now to satisfy ECF, we kind of have to go through their coordinated review. And part of the issue was Kevin was up against the application deadline. So we're kind of doing the steps we need to do to satisfy both.
All I needed was,
Okay.
You're the-
Just trying to explain it.
yeah,
You turned it, that was perfect.
yeah.
That'll be $750.
That's also highlighted in the third whereas of the resolution. Any other questions? Comments? Mr. Treasurer?
Yeah, I don't know if this is quick for you or Larry, but do we have to readopt the bonding resolution that comes after the seeker as well?
Well, we have to, what we'll have to do is we'll do the lead agency this month. We'll do the negative declaration the following month. I know Matt sent a bond resolution around. Can do it. That may be the safer thing. We may not necessarily.
I'd rather have it and not need it than need it. and not have it.
Which is fine by me. So when August comes, we'll do the negative deck and we can reauthorize it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee on that? I know it got a little convoluted with the approach. It was only because of the compressed timeline. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for that. Next agenda item.
Yeah, the phase 2 project change order. This is change order number 7. This is concrete part of our ongoing long-term plan project over at the treatment plant, aka the current $14 million project we have going on. Change orders arise because you notice things during construction that you couldn't have planned for ahead of time. So in this case, it was underground valves and piping that were deteriorated and bad that we needed to replace. In addition to that, with one of the recent storms we had, 2 of our roofs were leaking that are housing some of the new equipment. So we talked with the contractors and I talked with my commissioners, and I think it makes sense to address those roofs now, especially because we can incorporate them in the project and you pay for it long term rather than having to budget for it. So yeah, the original roofs, original to the plant, we were trying to put buckets underneath them during the last rain and we couldn't even keep up with that. So they're leaking pretty good, and the roof inspector that came did not recommend we try to patch because of their age.
What's the cost for this?
Yep, so the total for change order 7 is $86,069. The roof work being a majority of that at $73,080. Total contract for the concrete portion of the project is going from $307,955 to $3,394,024. And again, there is contingency money for this, or budget amendment needed, it's just with the concrete portion of the project, whenever you're gonna increase the physical contract with Schultz. Schultz is the contractor, you need to do a change order to do that.
So you're replacing the roof?
Yes, two small building
I was gonna say, they
roofs.
must be small, if you said
Yeah,
73,000.
yeah, they're two smaller buildings, it's a preliminary treatment building and our process building, but
Not
Well,
just
then-
the shingles, the whole roof you're replacing.
the shingles. yeah.
Just replacing the
structure.
shingles?
Does that include patching rotten wood or?
Yeah. Yeah, if the, the plywood or whatever's underneath needs to be replaced, that'll be included as well.
Mr. Treasurer.
$86,000 change order and you don't need a budget?
Continue.
I mean, have we been doing budget for the change orders?
Well, there's a line for the project and I can talk to you offline afterwards and see if we need it, but also you're
Yeah.
repairing roofs through a concrete contract.
Yep. The other roof is already through the concrete contract. Well,
We're gonna have to get our friends at EFC to bless this too, because
Yep.
they're gonna hold you to whatever they have.
yeah, I talked about that with Wendell and it was their word, but they said it'll be fine, so we should discuss that as well. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to go back to change order 6 and see if we did a budget at the same time, but I believe the money is in the project line, it's just not physically in the signed contract for these amounts.
Because the original budget lined up with the contract, so Chairman, we might want to send a budget amendment to finance, just in case we need it, and then I'll meet with Kevin afterwards.
Yeah,
I'd rather have you send it to finance, and if we don't need it, that's great, but that way it's there if we need it.
Yeah, that's the whole point. We're just trying to make sure we don't miss anything.
Right.
The Q and A, we're not throwing you through the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, it's just
No.
thinking that.
No, I'm fine with it, I didn't remember doing one the last time around, but maybe that was last and or already incorporated it, so. I
Okay,
guess if necessary, if a budget amendment necessary, it makes sense to discuss it now.
Yes, sir, thanks.
Being a motion is in.
Second.
signed by Cassie. Thank you. Any other questions on this project? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, folks. Oh, thank you, Al, for running the traps on that. Anybody have any questions? Got anything else? Thank you so much for all the hard work. Good luck. Get your bucket for me ready, because there's gonna be another rainstorm for that road gets. Crazy the weather. Yeah.
I don't think you were.
Good morning.
Unfortunately, Deb needs to entirely rewrite her budget, so we'll be here for the next 2.5 hours. Appreciate everybody's patience. Deb, the floor is yours.
We got Marchicelli
He should be
funding
sitting
for the Baton Doogie Bridge, so Al wants to do a budget amendment, it doesn't change any things sort of, but sort of does. And good news,
It's
they,
good news.
in the future, they are going to put Marchicelli in the beginning. That's an email that I just got, I'll believe it when I see it. So it takes the funding for this wonderful bridge from 80-20 to 80 federal, 15 state, and 5 local.
88,925 less the county's coughing up for this.
So you need a resolution to recognize it or?
Send it to finance.
Senate and Finance, made by Cassie, second by just about the whole committee. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I got.
What did we just send to finance?
The budget amendment to recognize the additional state aid and decrease the local share.
Okay. Got it.
That's what I heard her say.
That is correct
It's
statement.
possible.
I said recognize that.
Any questions for Deb? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanna thank Deb and Jim Hogan there. We had a little issue on our New York State Bridge, New York yesterday, and we thought, I was kind of wound, everybody else was wound. And Jim came in, and between him and Sean, we think we can solve the problem. The temporary road was 5 foot out of line from where the contractors wanted it. They were just gonna charge us 18,000 and bring in another product to take care of that. And Deb and Jim worked it out. But just a heads up for any of you, and I know Mr. Nolan inherited one of these, so 2 of these projects, that you have to cash flow them up front. And, you know, when you're cash flowing with small budgets, this is $1 million bridge, it's only as long as this table is. And then they told me, oh, it's gonna be over that maybe, and you're responsible for the rest. So we can use our CHIPS money to cover that if we have to, but meanwhile, we're trying to cash flow this. And they want to add 18,000 on top of it. So we didn't, but, now our wonderful state that's reimbursing us has now moved it out to 12 to 14 weeks instead of the 4 to 6 on reimbursement. So we're probably gonna have to borrow 300,000-400,000 to cash flow, so. Just so if you guys get into any of these projects.
You might still be a little loud today.
Yeah.
Well, I saw the email come through and then the phone rang from Jaden. We all survived so far.
Sam, sir.
Yeah, just a quick, did I see some magazine or some paper where you got some kind of recognition on the wall?
Oh, just for going to highway school.
Well, not just for going every year.
Yes. And we learn a lot at highway school, you know, one of the things that we learned last year was the safety edge. And it's just a simple little tool that you put on a paver, so when a car goes off the side of the road on some county and town roads, for the most part, it's just a drop off and it can be this much. But what they found was when you're trying to get back on, by the time you get the wheel to go back on, you're overcorrecting and lives are lost. You're in the other lane. It never ends. It doesn't seem to ever end well. So with this simple little tool, it gives it an angle and it's easier to bring the car back on the shoulder. So we learned that from safety or highway school. So it's always something good to learn. Thanks.
John?
Will that, counteract the Amish wagons and make the ditch automatically?
Just couldn't be happy.
It could, it could. You know, gradual slopes, always good.
We ended up, Louis ended up putting fiberglass stakes right on the edge of the blacktop on a town road. Going down the hills, they always seem to pull over, go off the shoulder, and I think it helps brake. So when we, second time this spring, since this cleaned up, we re-shouldered that one spot. We put the red fiberglass stakes on. So far, they've only took the first one. But we got about 10 more for them to take. They'll get to that by the end of the summer.
You'll see a new fence around the Amish field with red stakes.
Could be a low cost solution though. Yeah. Any other questions for Deb? Deb, thank you for all your hard work.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thank you guys. See you next one.
Any other issues for the committee? Good. Great to have a good summer. Happy 4th of July. Be safe for adjourned.
Maybe a vote, that's it.
We'll call the meeting of public safety to order. First thing up is accept the minutes for May 28th. Moved by Jim, seconded by John. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, Glenn. You're up. Don't worry. You get to sit up here, Glenn,
Take 'em up here,
So
take
you're
'em
on
here. Mike can take you up.
so you can be recorded. I'm not that dangerous.
The Joint Fire Training Center is in need of roof repair. Warren County has been getting quotes. And we'd like to move forward with, the project. They're quoting approximately $30,000. So our part of it would be not to exceed 15,000.
We still have money in the capital project from when we put this thing in there, so we'll just send a resolution to finance to amend the budget.
Motion to amend the budget to reflect the roof project.
Moved by Daryl, seconded by John and Nate. Any further discussion?
I guess that answers my question on whether we can close that capital project.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Is there anything else to come before the public safety? We're adjourned and I stand right.